This week in Texas, we look at the big shift in the race for the U.S. Senate here in Texas. One candidate is out and another is in. We'll examine the changing political landscape with our insiders Angel Carroll and Court Kenning. We also get the latest on the race for Fort Bend County Judge as the incumbent goes to court and a county commissioner jumps into the fray. You'll hear from Democrat Dexter McCoy, plus an interview with a special prosecutor, Brian Weiss. Also, a report from Liliana Pearson about school enrollment at HISD. You'll learn what she uncovered about a local charter school this week in Texas. And hello again, I'm Tom Abrams. Thanks for joining us. This week in Texas, we do begin with the race for the United States Senate. The filing deadline to run in 2026 was Monday. And in the final hours, a big shakeup with one candidate stepping out and another jumping in. Both changes happening on the Democratic side of the ledger in a contest for the seat currently held by Republican John Cornyn. Colin Allred announced he is no longer running for the Senate and is now shifting to run for Congress in North Texas. He previously served in Congress from 2019 to 2025. And Jasmine Crockett, a current member of Congress, filed to run for the U.S. Senate. She joins Democrats James Tallarico and Ahmad Hassan.
It's not if we can, but if we will. If we will get out and knock the doors, call the people, and meet them where they are. It's a matter of if we will do the work to have the necessary conversations about the future of our nation. Will we come together as one? This isn't about me or them. It's about you and us. This is not about ambition. It's not about my ambition. It's about yours. Your hopes and your dreams, and a government that has your back, not pushes you back. No Democrat has done what we're seeking to do, and that is win a statewide election in Texas in the 21st century. So there is no roadmap. There is no blueprint, and there is no cheat code. So for everybody that thinks they got it, just watch and I'll give it to you. This path we're going on together is one that must be forged ourselves.
Let's break down the shift in this race and how it could impact the rest of the ballot. For their perspectives, I'm joined by our political insiders, Angel Carroll, Court Kenning. Angel, we'll start with you on this. Your thought about Jasmine Crockett entering the race. You predicted that this would happen.
Yes, exactly. Look, I think a lot of voters are excited. This brings momentum to the primary. Folks are going to come out from various perspectives and realms on the Democratic side, and I think we're seeing that online.
Did you think Colin Allred would shift races?
I didn't see that coming, but I think he made the right decision to drop out of the race.
Why?
You know, it's a crowded primary. It was already a crowded primary with Colin and James with two. With Jasmine, we would have gone into a runoff. We can't really afford that right now. And so again, I think he made the right decision. Let Jasmine, let James fight it out, and go elsewhere.
Court, from your side of the aisle, does any of what's happening on the left matter?
I think what the impetus of all this is the filing deadline. That's the gun to a candidate's head, is you got to make a decision by then. Either way, you're in, you're out. And it's interesting to see Colin Allred, having campaigned for this position for so long, jumping out and switching races. But that doesn't affect the Republican side until after maybe March, April, May, depending on runoffs and things like that. And so, what is typically a sleepy, non-presidential election year, midterm election, is going to be very active in Texas and the U.S. Senate.
How much national money you think pours into Texas when you've got John Cornyn, Ken Paxton, Wesley Hunt on one side, plus four others, and then on the other side, you've got James Tallarico and Jasmine Crockett. These are national names now, all of them.
I mean, it's like on each side, you've got a football team running against each other, or a basketball team. The national money is very significant. I remember I used to consult for then Attorney General John Cornyn, and he would always ask, how did they raise so much money? It's a U.S. senator, not a Texas senator. So obviously your decisions you make are impactful for the entire nation, not just Texas.
It's an expensive race.
It is. Months ago, I heard a lot of people say Texas is no longer in play. Texas is in play now, and we're seeing that. And so we've got national money coming in, and I think folks are excited.
Why do you think it's in play?
Again, just as you said, Cornyn, Paxton, James, Jasmine. I mean, people are excited. We saw this in the special election that we saw in Tennessee, the New York mayoral race. People want to see someone who's going to fight, who's going to get and energize the base, and that's what we're seeing right now. And again, it's going to be great.
The first of many discussions on this race, I'm sure.
And let's not forget, those of whom that are in office right now that are running for another office give up their office in order to run. So that's a bunch of dominoes falling.
There's a huge switcheroo.
Yes,
This is the first time that Democrats have someone on the ballot in every race.
Crazy. All right. Thank you both. Appreciate it. We'll see you again later in this program. But when we come back, we dig deep into the race for Fort Bend County Judge and the criminal case dogging the incumbent. Welcome back. Along with the race for U.S. Senate and elections for statewide offices, there are contests for county judges. That includes a race without an incumbent in Harris County and challenges to the sitting judges in Montgomery and Fort Bend. Joining me now is Fort Bend County Commissioner Dexter McCoy, a Democrat who is running for judge, the county's top administrator. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks so much for having me.
Tell me why you decided to run for this position instead of the one you currently hold.
Yeah, this is the community that raised me. I moved here at the age of 9 from Louisiana, and the Fort Bend County changed my entire life trajectory. It's in this community where I met my wife. This is where we're raising our 2 beautiful daughters, and it has been a joy of my lifetime to be able to serve the very people who opened up the doors of opportunity for me. Because of this place, I've gotten to go on to work in the Obama administration, making higher education more accessible for folks like me and those who aspire for something better for themselves and their family. And because of this community, I got to come back and serve to build up and support the teachers and future leaders of our community when I was an administrator in Fort Bend ISD. Since I've been in Commissioner's Court, there's been a lot that this community has experienced. Sadly, today we are described more by the dysfunction that is happening in our county and not by all of the great things that make us who we are. And so when I look at where we're going and how we are going to get there, first we've got to clear out the dysfunction so that we can go after those big opportunities. We also know that our community is becoming more unaffordable for people. And if I care about how a family is going to make ends meet, if I care about how we're going to make sure that people have access to strong transportation, if I care about people feeling safe in their homes, this was a decision that I had to make.
Now, 4 years ago, you wouldn't have thought there would be an open seat as a Democrat, right? But the county judge switched parties from Democrat to Republican. Did you know at that moment that you were going to run, or was this something you just decided to do recently?
No, I think this has evolved, right? I think were we at a position where the county judge decided, hey, my values are different and, my focus is different and I'm more aligned with someone else and we were just doing something based on true values, that's one thing. I work with my Republican colleagues every day because we have to serve the residents of this community together. But that's not what we saw. What we saw was vitriol. What we saw was something that was all about an individual's power, not about that of the people. And so as I've been a part of and witnessed what has happened over the last few months, it's disgraceful. And at that point, I knew that something had to change and that something had to take new sort of leadership.
So you mentioned several issues that are important to you. What is the issue facing Fort Bend County right now? Aside from the obvious dysfunction, as you mentioned, on County Commissioner's Court and the shouting and the cutting off and the distractions, what is the issue facing Fort Bend residents right now? Affordability
is top of mind for everybody. Folks are struggling to pay their property taxes in a community that they helped to build. There are people who are struggling to be able to afford childcare in Fort Bend County, and there are people who are struggling just to keep food on the table. We have to address that because if people can't have the basic dignity of having a quality life, then nothing else matters. And so we have to focus on priorities to be able to bring in more commercial industry so that it's just the burden of supporting all of our infrastructure doesn't just rest with our property owners, our individual homeowners and renters, but that we have a robust commercial industry that helps shoulder that burden. And we have to look at how we bring jobs here to our community so that people aren't having to worry about the cost of going all the way into the core of Houston to work. They can stay within their own neighborhood and have a high quality, high paying job. And so that's top of mind for me in how we make our community a vibrant place where people can continue to live.
Now, to do that, it does take money.
Yep.
And this week, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick commented on how local governments are taxing too much. Can you do some of these things without increasing taxes for people who live in Fort Bend?
Absolutely, and that's why I talk about why we need to attract more commercial industry, because that helps to grow our tax base. It helps to diversify our tax base. If you go to most healthy communities and healthy economies within a community, you'll see that there's more of a 50-50 share between the residential property tax value and the commercial property tax value. In Fort Bend County, that's more like 80% of our property tax value comes from residential property. That's how we afford it without raising taxes on our homeowners and renters in our community. We also have to do a whole lot more to educate our legislators in Austin because every time they meet, it gets worse for our local governments because they put more responsibilities on us without an equal share of revenue from the sources that they get. So that we have to work multiple streams here.
We have about 15 seconds. Anything you want to add?
I just want to say that this is an incredible community, and I absolutely love it. The challenges that are ahead of us are great, but I believe that we, with the proper leadership, can get there and be ready for the great opportunities. I'm looking forward to the day that people look at Fort Bend County and they're talking about our successes and not scandal.
Dexter McCoy, candidate as a Democrat for Fort Bend County Judge. Thanks so much for your time.
Thanks for having me.
So we're going to stick with this story. As he campaigns for re-election, this time as a Republican, County Judge KP George is scheduled to go to trial in just weeks. One trial is for his role in alleged fake racist social media posts, the other for how prosecutors say he used campaign funds. George and his attorneys were in court this week trying to get the DA's office off one of those cases, an effort that failed. Now, as ABC13's Nick Notario explains, a showdown is set to take shape involving George just days before voters decide whether or not to re-elect him.
The Fort Bend County District Attorney's Office had a message for Judge KP George as he tried to move his criminal cases to another county.
Fort Bend's trash is handled here. We don't pass it to someone else.
A seance the DA's office took into the courtroom today. In weeks, George faces 2 criminal trials. The first involves alleged fake racist social media post. Earlier this year, his former chief of staff, Darrell Patel, pleaded guilty to creating the post to help George win re-election, a plan prosecutors say George knew about. The other case accuses George of money laundering by using campaign funds to pay for property taxes. A trial George's attorneys argue today shouldn't be handled by the DA or his office because, they say, of messages DA Brian Middleton sent talking badly about George before he was indicted. However, the judge disagreed and ruled to keep the DA in his office on the case.
What the defense has done is cherry-picked conversations out of context and tried to apply them to this prosecution, which is absolutely false.
Why would that individual continue to handle the case unless they had a politically personal motivation to take someone down?
There weren't just questions at this hearing about removing the DA from the case. George's attorney was questioned as well. Last week, a former employee at the law firm was investigated for theft involving George's campaign funds. George took to the stand during the hearing and told the judge he didn't want his attorney to be removed. The judge agreed and allowed him to stay put.
Mr. George cannot come back later and say, hey, I should have had a new lawyer because of these things.
With the ruling, both sides are preparing for 2 trials. Cases set to occur right before voters decide on George's political future. The misdemeanor case involving fake social media posts starts in less than a month. The felony case involving campaign funds begins in 2 months. Early voting starts days later in mid-February, a timeline George's attorneys want.
Our goal is to get these cases tried, get them tried quickly, have this fine man exonerated, and hopefully reelected.
Trials that'll have a jury of George's peers from Fort Bend County shortly before county voters take to the polls. Nick Notario, ABC13 Eyewitness News.
Thanks to Nick Notario for that report. I'm joined now by Brian Weiss. He's a special prosecutor brought into work on the George case. Brian, tell us first why you're involved in this case.
You know, I think on a couple of levels, Tom. On a business level, we live in an era of specialization. And this is a situation where some of the areas that I'm actually conversant in, disqualification of a district attorney's office, contempt of court, ethical dealing with the media, is something that I could bring to the table. But on a personal level, Tom, I've known Brian Middleton for over 2 decades. He's one of the most dedicated, incorruptible public servants I've ever met. And when I saw how he was being pilloried in the press, I reached out to him and we had a conversation, and I'm proud to be a member of an incredible team. I mean, look, specialization is about, starters and closers, anchors and reporters. And so I'm working with an incredible staff, Sharon Thompson, Katie Peterson, offensive, defensive coordinators. I'm like the special teams coordinator. And I think I just want to make one thing clear. Even as recently as last night, the defendant in this case has continued to spread the big lie that I'm being paid at taxpayer expense. That's right up there with alligators in the sewers. I mean, I'm being paid from a special fund that's not going to cost the taxpayers of Fort Bend County a single cent. Tom?
So explain why the DA felt like it was necessary to bring in a special prosecutor to help with this case.
This case is an outlier. It's a prosecution of an elected official, and like most of those prosecutions, having been involved as a special prosecutor in Tom DeLay, there are issues that you're not going to see in your typical no-test DWI on a Friday night. And so again, disqualification of the DA's office, contempt of court, ethical dealing with the media, and anything that they need me to do, I'm willing to do. But I actually bring that to the table because the state of Texas is entitled to a level playing field, just like the citizen accused is.
All right, so what is next in this case? I mean, this comes as there is a primary season 2, and the defendant in this case, Judge K.P. George, is also running for office.
And again, that's the essence of any political prosecution, is that the defendant is going to claim it's political. Believe me, that's what we saw in DeLay, but this is a monumentally apolitical prosecution. There's been a process from the very beginning. Republican and Democratic judges have signed search warrants. The Texas Rangers were involved. What we had yesterday was a hearing on pretrial motions. The judge, Maggie Hadamil, incredible battle-tested jurist, denied their motion to disqualify Brian Middleton in the DA's office, denied their motion to dismiss for prosecutorial misconduct. And we have a hearing on Monday for sanctions, which is a fancy legal term for, did you cork your bat? Did you scuff the baseball? Did you go outside the bounds because you were unethical in things that you said in your pleadings? So that's going to be certainly something to watch. We also have a trial date, as you said, in mid-February. And the trial in the misdemeanor is set in early January. Obviously, something that's subject to change.
I know that you're well known as a defense attorney. The question I have for you is, as a special prosecutor, how is that role different other than the obvious?
As a criminal defense attorney who's labored for 45 years doing criminal appeals, where your typical defendant has a better shot of, winning the Nobel Peace Prize and winning a felony appeal, your mandate is to win at all costs. As a prosecutor, including a special prosecutor, the mandate that I have to operate under is simple because it's in the Code of Criminal Procedure: to seek justice. That's a privilege. That's an honor. That's exactly what I'm going to continue to do as a part of this incredible team that Brian Middleton has honored me to be a part of in this case.
Brian Weiss, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, Tom.
I'm joined again by our political insiders, Court Kenning and Angel Carroll, to talk about this race. Court, we'll start with you. Fort Bend is fascinating. You have a former Democrat as a Republican. You have a bunch of Republicans and Democrats all seeking the same seat in a place that is, at best, dysfunctional.
It once was a sleepy little county on the way to Houston, or the way out of Houston. Then it became a very Republican area. Everybody there was a Republican that was in elected office, and then it shifted. Does this mean we're shifting back to the Republican Party? Quite possible. We'll see.
I mean, it is among the most diverse counties in the entire country. Angel, your thoughts about whether this is a Democrat or Republican seat?
I don't think that it's shifting to the Republican Party back.
You hope not.
Yes, I hope not. And I think we've got some great Democratic candidates. Look, I think the court case that's going on right now, it's not trivial, right? It's not being politicized. There was a crime that seems to have been committed. They're going to be doing an investigation, and we'll see what comes of that. And the fact that the DA is still in the case proves, in my personal opinion, that it's not being weaponized. And so I think that we're just going to have to continue to keep our eyes on it. But I think that the voters will see what's going on. And the fact that he's moving to the Republican Party, I think, is shifty at best.
Now, you welcomed him to the Republican Party when he switched. Do you think this hurts the Republican Party if, in fact, he is the nominee and he faces these alleged crimes?
Well, I mean, I think we need to let the judicial process play out. But when you switch to the Republican Party does not adopt your ideas. You adopt theirs. And so we welcome him to the Republican Party, but if he's committed a crime, we'll wait and sort that out later. But if he's committed a crime, he needs to be punished for it. If not, then let's just go with it. But there's obviously hard feelings going on in Fort Bend County. Now, if it turns into hard knocks, that's different.
But it is hard to run for an office while there's this cloud of suspicion over you, right?
Yeah.
I mean, does it hurt Republicans come the general election in November if, in fact, he's the nominee and this isn't resolved?
I think it hurts the party if he is found guilty or something to that matter, and he's still running as a Republican and Republicans support him. Then you're supporting somebody who is a felon.
Your thoughts?
I mean, look, he should be focusing on his case right now. And so I do think it hurts the Republican Party and the fact that he's switching over right now. He's running from accountability. He should keep his focus on his case, and we should focus on candidates that want to lead and focus on Fort Bend County, not other things.
Angel, Court, we appreciate your perspective this week in Texas. Thank you. And when we come back, we're going to have a report from Liliana Pearson talking about school enrollment and one school that seems to be going up in population while the rest of the district is going down. Now to a report from ABC13's Liliana Pearson. She has been working for weeks on public school enrollment numbers at HISD. Her reports include data that shows HISD is losing students, but there is one school that has seen impressive gains. We're talking about Texas Connections Academy. The online charter school has a partnership with the district and adds a whopping 11,000 students to overall enrollment. But the district tells Liliana, historically, fewer than 500 of those enrolled students actually live inside HISD boundaries.
Texas Connections Academy is an open enrollment school free to any 3rd through 12th grade Texas student who has access to the internet, according to the school's website. Houston ISD also tells Eyewitness News the online school is partnered with the district. The school shows up on the HISD October 31st enrollment data, showing more than 11,000 students enrolled for the 2025-26 school year, and, based on district data, has seen the largest enrollment growth of any district school this year. But HISD says of the more than 11,000 students, historically, less than 500 actually live within district boundaries.
I do want to say that I am thankful to have this option and want to reiterate that the teachers have been great.
Rochelle Park's child does live within the district boundaries and has previously attended in person, but was switched to Texas Connections Academy in October of 2024 after developing a chronic illness that impacted his attendance. Over the phone, she says the online school has been beneficial to her child in this season of life, but says the aim is to get him back on a campus, saying the success of the program relies on the child. And as a full-time single mom, she feels her son personally needs more structure.
My experience is that I feel like he's not really being challenged. I think that it is not anybody's fault. It's just the system. It's hard for a teenage boy to stay motivated.
Most recently, the Texas Connections Academy earned a D rating from the TEA. As Superintendent Mike Miles pushes to have all A and B campuses within the district, it's not clear if the rating will lead to any changes in the partnership that first began in 2009. Even with a lower accountability rating, the campus does bring a big financial boost to the district, with the Texas Connection Academy enrollment numbers alone projected to bring in more than $8 million to the district.
Thanks to Liliana for that report. She did speak with the PR company who represents Texas Connections Academy and requested an interview, but they told her at the time they were unable to meet her deadline. Stay with us. Some final thoughts when we return. That's it for This Week in Texas. We do appreciate you joining us. As always, you can watch all of our previous episodes anywhere you stream ABC 13 and at our website at abc13.com. For all of us here at the program, I'm Tom Abrams. We hope you have a great week and be kind to one another.